everybody. Welcome to the Big Play Tailgate with Chuck Booms, Bob Golic. I'm Tony Zarrella. So much to talk about this week. I'm going to tell you why the Browns are going to win in Philly. Everybody's off the tracks. I understand. You hold that thought, but I want to talk Guardians.
Tell me, Tony.
You gotta wait.
Yeah.
You gotta wait.
Don't keep that info secret.
The best team in town.
Hold
And
them.
that's the Guardians, the Senior Vice President of Public
Absolutely.
Affairs, the great Bob DiBiasio, joining us from the Garage Bear throne. You are a king.
How about this? Hello, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Bobby D, so great. We are in it now, all the way up to our necks, with the Yankees awaiting.
The Yankees are awaiting, and so therefore Saturday at 8 o'clock, 8:08, first pitch, Game 5. Been a heck of a series, obviously. Actually, the entire Major League Baseball postseason has been incredibly thrilling and just on the edge of your seat for every pitch. One swing of the bat changes the face of a ball game, and it certainly happened for us the other night when David Fry did his magic.
Bobby D,
Not
talk
only
about
hitting a
that.
home run, but
Yeah.
bunting.
And then the bunt in the ninth, which was a huge run. I mean, that was a monumental
Yes,
run.
indeed.
obviously.
Those turn out to be, guys, if I may, and Bob knows more about this than all of us put together, but those turn out to be, when you look back at the end of the run, where you go, it was the squeeze. It was the safety squeeze that turned, where a lot of people after the game before that said, oh, come on, we haven't scored in 20 innings. This is over. Baseball can turn so quickly, and on a play like that, Bob, that you just don't see that often in baseball, and you've
Right.
got to execute it perfectly. And if you would, you told us about in the dugout with
Well,
Vogt.
Stephen Vogt in his post-game presser mentioned that he went up to David Fry and said, "You okay with putting one down, bunting here?" And he said, "Heck yeah, I've been bunting my whole life. I was a great hitter in high school. I'll put one down here." And he put down a perfect bunt. Rocchio had an incredibly a perfect slide using his right hand to stay away from
Yes.
the catcher. Just incredibly efficient the way they executed that, and we needed that big run.
What was so great about that moment was, well, two things. There's so much talk on the day between about the trouble scoring runs, and then to be able to perform in that situation, certainly David Fry, and then in the ninth, and also Class A. And you know, getting him back out there and letting him close that out. How important was that?
Unbelievable. I think you saw a guy throwing 101 up in the strike zone and then throwing that 99-mile-an-hour thing that he throws to right-handed hitters
know
and
what that
left-handed
is,
hitters
yeah.
down and in. He just incredibly efficient this year. Last 3 years he's had the most saves in baseball. I don't know where we'd be without him. Bullpens are so vitally important, the way you build a baseball team in today's game, and we have the best at the back of the bullpen, and
No
that's
doubt.
been a part of our sustained winning culture for
Bobby,
sure.
you've been with the Tribe a long time. How many
Yeah.
years?
This is 45.
So you've seen some phenomenal teams expected to be there,
Yeah.
and maybe this team not expected to be there, and
Right.
here you are. So when you look at the room, the makeup, the character, starting with Stephen Vogt, who seems to be the best choice, obviously, when we look at it, but also the guys in the room. Talk about that.
Well, Jose, you have to start at Jose Ramirez committing to this franchise, staying here. When he and Paul Dolan were able to sit down with Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff and just talk about what it would take to keep him here, all Paul kept saying to Jose is, we have to be respectful to you. And we're not looking for a hometown discount. We're not looking for anything but we need to find a number that we can live with as an organization to build a team around you in the economic realities of middle market baseball. But we have to be respectful to you because you're one of the best players in the game.
Just like they did with the Browns did with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
another
Bob,
segment.
That's
Bob,
a whole
if I
nother
may,
animal.
I have a sneaking suspicion the word respectful
Yeah.
never came up
Yeah,
in the
probably.
Browns negotiation.
Because Jose is the leader of this team in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
He's by example. He's by his personality. That swagger that he has.
Every young guy, Bob, that comes up says that. They all find a way like a magnet to Jose Ramirez. And
Correct.
then it's remarkable how all these young guys are playing and acting like him. That when you have a guy with that good a character and that good a player, what that does is every young guy goes, that's the example. Anything less than that won't work, and they all do it.
And if somebody comes in and says, well, I lead by example, then they're just one of the players.
Right.
Because it takes a guy that has that personality that,
Yes.
that draws people to him. And when things need to be done, they'll show you how to do
Well,
it.
Bobby, we're talking before the show.
Right.
There's another guy.
Austin Hedges. I was just going to mention him, Anthony. He, people were wondering, Austin Hedges is your biggest sign in the off season. You know, he hit under 200 and coming off winning a World Series with Texas the year before. But his presence, a veteran presence in that clubhouse, is so vitally needed. Jason Giambi, Mike Napoli, Tito is a believer in that, and Stephen Vogt as well. Have to have somebody in that room that's a veteran that can lead people, can get in people's faces so that coaches don't have to be that guy all the time, that somebody in that room can help police it.
This is such a long season. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
And he's the conduit
Yeah.
from exactly how either Tito feels or Stephen Vogt feels. And that message gets to the players through Hedges so that when we're all sitting there going, they're done, they can't score in 20 innings, it's Hedges who's going to the other guys going, that's not us.
Right.
And if you saw him interviewed before the game, Tony and Bobby, Hedges was the one saying, hey, we don't operate that way. We get the fans do.
Right.
But we don't operate that way. We have total confidence in what we're going to do the next game, and then they go out and do it.
I would ask you who your favorite players are from the Tribe of all time. However, but it would be putting you on the spot. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do is play ahead or behind. And we're going to see where you land on this list. Okay?
Oh, okay.
When the Big Play Tailgate rolls on right after this. Back here on the Big Play Tailgate with the great Bobby DiBiasio. It's so great to see you. I love the segments you do when you're catching up with former players.
How
by the way.
comfortable is that?
Oh, it's awesome. Perfect.
All right, we're about to play a game, Bobby D, that, as Chuck would say, has been sweeping the nation.
And it is the game show sweeping the nation. From San Diego, California to Kennebunkport, Maine. And from Seattle, Washington down to Key West, Bob. It's time for Ahead or Behind. And what do we have for our honorary guest? Well, I have it right here. It's the top 25 Indians Guardians of all time.
Are you
And-
going to tell him that there's no prize?
Oh,
I don't want him to
prize.
get excited.
Well, first of all, Bobby is so knowledgeable of this. It's going to take you two sharing a brain to try to take down that man there with 45 years of baseball all bottled up inside. Your teammate wants you.
It's
He's
been
ready
done
to go.
before.
Boom.
Bob, right in the middle of the list, the great Mel Harder.
Okay.
Mel Harder's in the middle of the list. Here we go. It's the top 25 Cleveland Indians / Guardians of all time. Let's start with Bob and go with a Bob. Mr. DiBiasio, is Bob Lemon ahead or behind Mel Harder?
Oh, he has to be above, ahead.
He's saying ahead.
He has
And
to.
that is-
He won 20
He's
games.
already rolling.
Yeah, he won 20 games like 6 times, 7 times. He's
You
in the
guys
Hall
are
of
gonna
Fame.
get
We're
blown
screwed. We're screwed, Bob.
I knew that one. Can I get a
He
half a
never
point?
even played before, and he goes, that's ahead or way forward.
Can I be on Bobby's team? I want to do the
We'd like
the
to
Bob.
make a
I'd
trade.
like to be on
That's
his
right.
team, and I have the answer. All right, here we go. 1-0.
Come on.
Bobby has the lead. All right, Golic and Zarrella. Mel Harder's right in the middle of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sudden Sam McDowell. Sudden Sam, who I've now nicknamed Sam Merrill with the Cavs. He's Sudden Sam. He comes in. And... All right, Sam McDowell, you guys talk it over, ahead or behind?
This, he's behind.
Yeah.
This is a franchise that's been around 100 years with historically great players over those decades, and as well known as
How about
McDowell
an
is
answer?
behind.
He says behind. He got
we're
it,
tied.
Bob. He
Yeah, we're
got
tied.
it.
Good
thought
job.
Sam would trip him up. All right,
Yep.
it's
That's not what I was going to say, but
1-1. All right, let's go to. Okay, let's play this little game. Bob DiBiasio. I got the 25 best Indians Guardians of all time. Mel Harder's in the middle of the list.
Yes, sir.
A gentleman that I believe played his college ball at Arizona State and could climb a center field wall like Spider-Man.
This
Is
is good.
Kenny Lofton ahead or behind of Mel Harder?
I don't know who made up this list, but if he's not ahead, this person's nuts because Kenny's the most dynamic leadoff hitter in the history of our franchise, still the stolen base leader, multiple all-star Gold Glove winner. He has to be ahead.
Yes.
Got it right. I thought I'd
And
get him there.
he should be in Cooperstown.
Well, that's the discussion I've had with Kenny a number of times, that it's a shame that he only lasted on the ballot 1 year. If you don't get a certain number of votes, you are removed from the ballot, and then you have to wait till the Veterans, Committee.
Gets him.
And I just felt that Kenny deserved more of a discussion.
I saw a great interview, just a quick thing off of that, with Marquise Grissom, who was the trade.
Right.
Remember? And Marquise Grissom said, if Kenny Lofton's not in the Hall of Fame, you shouldn't have one.
That's a great
I
line.
thought that was really good.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby's up 2-1.
Bob, here we go. Bob's up 2-1. Mr. Golic, Mr. Zarrella, Mel Harder's in the middle of this fantastic list. 25 best Indians of all time, Indians/Guardians. How about one of the great names, too, Early Win? Early Win. Is he ahead or behind
I
of
know
Mel Harder?
I know the answer to this, but I want to let Tony.
Well, isn't that the
Explain it.
sign as you walk from the clubhouse to the dugout and it says, "This is where I do my work"? Right?
Yeah.
He's ahead.
That's what I was going to say.
Ahead.
Can I have
behind.
Ryan a second buzzer for Bob? Since he was going to say it too, I'm sorry to tell you. Early Win comes in, Bob, strangely at 16. Or as Bob said, if the name's not where it should be, somebody is a screwball who did it.
Guy won 300 games. He's in the
can
Hall
win
of
it.
Fame,
Bob
for God's
can-
sakes.
Bob can probably lock this up right here. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Bobby DiBiasio. I have the 25 top Indians Guardians of all time. Mel Harder's right in the middle of the list. Is Stan Kovaleski. Now, I thought his deli was terrific. I used to go there all the time. You going to Kovaleski's? Give me some prosciutto.
What are you mixing?
I don't know. Accents are going anyway. Stan Kovaleski.
Wouldn't he have a pierogi
Would
or
he be ahead? Yes, pierogies for sure. Would he be ahead or behind Mel Harder, Bob?
If the person who made this list is under 50 years old, they probably said behind, but Stan Kovaleski has to be ahead on that list. One of the great pitchers in our franchise history. Mel Harder was a great pitcher in our history, but Stan was a little bit better. He goes in with the other guys.
Oh,
He got it. I thought I had him because he did the thing about he's going to put it behind if the guy, but then he gets the
you know, he's never going to get one wrong.
as he was
Well, I don't know
changing-
about never getting anything wrong, but you
We
gave
could
me
do this.
names of Hall of Famers, guys. That,
We're gonna have to when we
He
have him
wins.
back. We'll do an entire hour of
I
ahead
can
or
do it.
behind and see if he gets one
He was
wrong.
not going to get one wrong.
All right,
What's the
last
most
one.
surprising name on the list?
All right, so the first name on the list. Anyone want to guess who it is? I would have got this, and I'm no genius about Indians history. I would have got this.
Cy Young?
Who's the first guy on the list?
It's not. Oh, I can answer.
Yeah.
It's not Feller on that list.
It's Feller's third.
Third.
I know. I would have thought.
Tris
that, but
Speaker.
He's second. You're getting
Earl Averill.
He's sixth.
Do they have Cy Young on that?
Nap LaJoie.
Oh, Nap Lajoie. Yeah, Nap was in the second Hall of Fame class. First one was 1936.
Right.
Nap was in 1937. Our team was named after him.
Yes.
So I could see how they would have Nap
I
Lajoie.
would have had Feller.
Yeah.
The list goes like this, guys. Nap LaJoie, Tris Speaker, Bob Feller, Lou Boudreau, Stan Kovaleski was 5th.
Yeah, yeah.
Earl Averill, Lofton, Bob Lemon, Jim Thome, Joel Sewell,
Yep.
Jose Ramirez, and Addie Joss.
Yeah, Addie Joss.
And then right there in the middle, just behind Mel Harder, and I have to bring up his name because he's so prominent in everything in baseball, the great Larry Doby.
Oh, yeah.
You got to
of
talk
course.
about Larry. I mean, that's incredible.
I would have had him.
But a
If
great-
you would have named him,
great-
I would have put him ahead. I would have
Yeah, I would have had
definitely
Doby
put
up
him
there.
ahead.
We got slaughtered as expected.
Yeah.
Bobby D, great to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey.
Go Guardians.
This
Yeah.
is a treat.
And
Thank you.
This is for you. You know, I had never said Guardians or would wear anything because I love my Chief Wahoo. I'm not letting him get out of here without some sort of prize. All right, DiBiasio. That's for you. There it is.
Hey, it
The
took me
first
to get
time
here.
Booms has ever had a Guardians hat on.
Did
You're
you
a
give
good
that
man,
to,
Chuck.
Did you give
Good
that
stuff.
I did not give that
He
to
did.
him.
I bought it.
I just was wondering. That's all.
Good question.
I know he has a sore elbow, but can David Fry throw a football?
I'm sure he can. He's a big.
Better than the guy we have?
He's a big man. He's
Bobby
a,
D,
he's
thanks,
a
man.
Big man. Thank you for
Bob,
having
always
me,
a
guys.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Go Guardians.
Guardians.
Let's
Talking Browns
go.
Eagles when the tailgate continues. And back here on the Big Play Tailgate with Chuck Booms, Bob Golic. I'm Tony Zarrella, Bob DiBiasio. What a phenomenal guy and just a walking book of facts when it comes to Major League Baseball, certainly the Guardians. And now we bring it to a screeching halt.
Yeah, jeez.
Browns.
Do we have to?
Browns Eagles. I'm going to tell you later.
Can I go get some coffee?
No, I'm going to tell you later why the Browns are going to win in Philadelphia. However, we start with the problems that have existed since they came right out of the gate. And Chucky and I were talking, Bob, on the phone earlier in the week. We can go down stats. We can talk about how bad Deshaun is, and it's real. What concerns us the most is they're just so lifeless. I mean, if you look at, I'm not expecting Ray Lewis all the time out there, but give me something. Give me some life. Don't you think that matters in spreads?
First off, I want to say, you can make a 3-way phone call, too, these days.
I tried. You didn't answer.
I'm a little
You know-
sensitive to phone topics, as you know now,
Yeah,
since I
yeah.
lost mine.
When Bobby was talking about leadership and getting control and everybody responding, the first thing I thought about was Deshaun and how it just seems like him even trying to get into one person's head, into Amari Cooper's head, or somebody to put him on the same page seems impossible. And I hate to say it, but when you looked at a guy like Baker Mayfield, he went and did his game. He went and did the game, played hurt, did all these things, and when it got to the point, people responded to him.
He would fist pump. He would run down the field going like this. He was the first one to run and jump in the receiver's arms. He had the crowd going and everything. And you look at Deshaun Watson, and I told Tony during the week, that he reminds me of some sort of automaton. There's nothing ever on his face. And I said to him, he reminds me of Data from Star Trek, the android. I know, Bob, you like Star Trek.
Until he had the emotion chip put in.
Well, can we put in
Deshaun
a
or Data?
Data.
yeah. Can we put an emotion chip in Watson? Because he has no expressions on his face. He just,
Data's complexion was like really weird
silver.
too. So.
Yeah, he was
But
silver.
the one thing too, and we say that about Deshaun, but you got to feel a little bit bad for the guy. That
Well, by the way, we apologize to Brent Spiner, who played Lieutenant Commander Data on Star Trek.
I actually auditioned. I actually auditioned for a Star Trek.
Did you?
And I was trying out for a Klingon. Go figure. With
You would have been a great Klingon with
Geordi.
Geordi.
And
Oh my God, I'm crying.
Worf. And,
Geordi is the one with the glasses.
Yeah, with the
because he
hairband.
can't see.
Hey, not to get off the trail here, but
and
the
I didn't.
the greatest story you ever told me about being out in Hollywood is that you've done acting, obviously, as everybody knows, and Bob's in a conversation with someone, and they tell Bob, we're looking for a Bob Golic type.
Yeah. Bob Golic. We're looking for a mid to late 30s ex-NFL player like Bob Golic or Lyle Alzado. And it was literally on the paper they give you with the sides, with the audition on it.
Do you
And
have
so I
it?
went-
Because I'll bring mine in. I also have that when they were looking for the late night host after Arsenio launched, and they said on the breakdown, I have it. It said, think of like Chuck Booms, but black. And I said, I can play black. I mean, you know,
it
I
sounds
gotta
like
be-
it sounds like it went the same way for you as it did for
right.
me.
We
So
didn't
they
get it,
tell him he wants a Bob Golic type, and then you don't get the role.
I don't
Right.
get the role.
and nor did I.
I said,
Okay.
can I come back as Lyle?
Hey, they're lifeless, okay? And really, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to maybe a win, but I don't even know that that's enough, really.
So I believe that the players respond to the quarterback who's supposed to be the natural leader. Bob can talk about this for hours. And if you don't have that natural leader on the team, now you see why you brought up Amari Cooper, Tony. Why he's going like this, why they're looking around, why there is no accountability coming from the guy who's, by the way, playing the worst in the history of the NFL. His QBR now is single digits.
Well, when
this
you're
has
pl-
never
when
happened.
You're playing bad though, how do you try to get the best out of the other guys?
Good
I mean, you're
question.
more worried about yourself, and you can't just talk. I mean, when I played for the Raiders, we played Buffalo AFC Championship game. We were losing at halftime, 41-0. And we went into the locker room at halftime. Right before we went out in the second half, Marcus Allen got up and said, they scored 41 points in the first half. We can score 41 points in the second half. And Beverly was like getting ready to scream and yell. And he goes, can't we? And we goes, I don't know. We said, but we held them to 10
Not
points in
great.
the second half.
You talk about the numbers. They're averaging about 4 yards a play. They're less, right? Less than
They're-
4
they're
yards
breaking-
a
they're
play.
They're breaking records in the way, Bob, that you don't want to break records.
Well, I saw
they're
that-
they're now been there. It's all time.
Yeah.
In fact, Stephen A. Smith said it. He said it's now all time futility. Now you think of being a Browns fan and watching a national telecast, and they're talking about the team you grew up with and you love, and they go, all-time futility. Forget about Data from Star Trek. He's now talking about it's the worst that it could possibly be. And the next thing out of Stephen A's mouth was, and to think, I thought of you when he said it, to think the Browns thought they didn't need Joe Flacco.
Well, we've gotten to a point now where if you pull him out, people would go, "Oh my God, how stupid are they for giving the guy all that money and then pulling him out?" But now they're getting to the point where people are thinking, "You got to do something. I don't care how much."
How
you pay this
stupid
guy.
are you
Well-
to
gotta
not
do
pull him
something."
out?
Well,
Yeah.
here's the problem, and we talked about it. I believe it was week 1 of this show, and now you hear other people finally coming to this conclusion on other platforms. They put themselves, through their arrogance,
Yes.
in a position where there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's nowhere to go.
100%.
If you go to Jameis Winston, he's just a guy. He's average. He's going to lose games as well as win a couple of games. So you jettisoned the guy who, by the way, throws to 300 plus every game.
He did again.
I don't care how old he is. And even if you don't want to keep Flacco, you bring somebody in that's going to fit what works for Stefanski in this offense, and they didn't do it. And now they have nowhere to go.
Well, you look at the guy that played like him. We said last week, we would have liked, or they would have liked, to see Jaden Daniels. With the way he played, they wanted Deshaun to do that.
Watson was supposed to be the
But
veteran
Watson should
Jaden
have been
Daniels.
that,
And he's
and
not
of course
that.
now we say
He isn't even the veteran Charlie Daniels.
How about
He passed away.
how about sitting Daniels down for the fourth quarter? I mean, an NFL team just sitting their guy down. They're not coming back. They got nothing.
It's
over
one
the
thing.
world.
It's one thing to get beat. I said this during the week to Tony. It's one thing to get beat. It's another when the other team says, they're so bad.
Yeah.
Let's not rub it in their face. And I couldn't wait to talk to you about it, Bob, playing, because there can be no bigger sign of disrespect than to go, there's no chance you can come back, and you're awful, and we're not going to have our rookie go out there and punish you anymore. We're just going to sit him down.
That game I was talking about, the Kent Hall, the starting center, went out. A kid came in that was the backup. He was like a rookie, had paint like from WWE, and he goes, after the first play, he's getting up. He goes, Bob, Kent told me that you're a really good guy and that I shouldn't, do any cheap shots on you or hurt you too much. And I was just like, God, I should just tell him to shut up and play. But I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead,
said,
you just
"Thank you."
manhandle him.
We talk about all this. We got to take a break. But so why do I think the Browns can actually win this game? We'll talk about
You're
that
running
more
a fever?
when the tailgate rolls on. And welcome back to Big Play Tailgate. Let's roll.
It's time for Chucky's Keys to the Games. And our host, the very talented and handsome Tony G.
Don't look back, Chucky. Somebody could be gaining on you. Ryan
Objects
told
in
me.
the mirror are
Ryan
closer
gave me the
than-
numbers from
Yeah.
last week. I got to tell
God.
you, I made an incredible run. I was 8-4-1 last week.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're supposed to pick winners?
Wait, let me
No.
Bob, did you ever play
Oh, that's-
overseas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you like it, or was it a total nightmare having to deal with that?
I think it was called Longfellows. It was a bar that
No, but
right
the
in-
game.
Oh, the game? It was it was okay.
Jaguars,
Tokyo too. We went in Tokyo.
and that's a long trip. Jaguars, Bears. Jaguars
Thanks for
coming off
making the
that win.
drive.
You're welcome.
Jaguars coming up. All right, so all of a sudden,
yes.
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. What's the spread?
Bears minus 1.5.
Boy, I mean, this game certainly,
London.
This has a stench to it right off the bat. I'm not going to give it the fat porn game because it's right out of the block. But good God, you attach London to it, it really reeks. I want to get up in the morning and watch that.
Dozens buying tickets.
I'm going to go with the Jaguars, Bob, and I'll tell you why. It's in London, and nobody's made that flight more than the poor Jacksonville Jaguars. They spend more time in London than they do in Jacksonville. Yeah. I'm going Jags. I think Tony hit on something. Could the Trevor Lawrence that we all thought we'd see, did he show himself, and now they get on a roll? I'll go Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm. I think I'm going to go Bear. Bears. I like what I see in their defense. And that seems to be, being a defensive guy, I'm required by nose tackle law to do something like that.
All right. You're on the books for that. I got Jaguars with the points.
Oh, great. Now I'm going to lose again.
No, that's not necessarily true, Bob, but in this case it is.
It is. Commanders put 34 on us last week.
In 3 quarters.
In 3 quarters. Daniel, if they left him out there, he could have done whatever he wanted. Now they're in Baltimore. Commanders at Ravens. And it's Ravens minus more than a touchdown, 6.5.
They're giving the Commanders 6.5?
6.5.
First of all, Bob, this is the reason the late Jack Kent Cook said, "You're not putting a football team back in Baltimore. I own this area." And then Jack died, and they stole the Browns. At any rate, this is a huge rivalry in that area. Tony's kind of an East Coast guy. He knows this. These cities don't like each other. Mm-hmm. So this is something to prove. You're probably talking about 2 of the most electrifying quarterbacks. You have Lamar Jackson. You have Daniels. I think the Redskins, potatoes, I think that they're on a roll, and I actually now have them winning the division. I'll go Washington.
I'm looking at the fact that even though Jaden Daniels did well, he only completed like 56% of his passes. I mean, it was not a high percentage game against the Browns, and because of that, certainly he had I think it was almost 100 yards on running.
He ran the ball a lot.
But I don't know. I just like the way I don't like the way the Ravens are playing so well, but I think they're playing well enough to beat the Commodores.
And give the points.
Commodores.
You're going to give the 6.5.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take the Commanders plus the 6.5.
May I mention that he said the Commodores?
I picked up on it.
That's a better name than the Commanders.
It really is.
It really is. Yes.
It's a great.
I'll
group
get that
too.
to them. Yeah. Oh.
Them and Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Brick
Speaking of big
house.
spreads, Cardinals at Packers. Packers are giving them 5.
So this is interesting because all of a sudden Kyler Murray has decided he would play like the old Kyler Murray, and he jumped up and surprised the Niners out in San Fran. Jordan Love suddenly, guys, has come back to life, and they're not building his statue outside Lambeau. This is a very interesting game. Bob, you're a defensive guy. Cardinals defense is underrated. I'm going to go Cardinals with the points on the road.
Yeah, I think I'm looking that way too. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cardinals points.
Okay.
I'm going to give the points. Packers -5.
You're taking the cheeseheads. All right.
I absolutely am. All right. Patriots stink, right? I mean, they're god awful. No offense, Bob. They drafted you. I get it. But
their concession stand is great.
Yes.
Over at
Excellent.
Fenway.
Patriots at home, because they're so bad, who would be 1-4? Oh, that's right. But anyway, they're 1-4, and they're getting 6.5 at home from the Texans. Bob?
God. At home makes me want to go Patriots, but I don't know. Just seems like the Texans are bringing things around, and they seem to be rolling. I'm going Texans.
Drake May
Okay,
making
I
his first
hate
start.
this game, and I'm glad you said it because I was about to bring it up, and that's why I hate this
Yeah.
game. Here comes the kid. So he's either going to be hot garbage or light this thing up, and everyone goes, and why didn't he start at the beginning?
Yep.
Because one thing Tony is definitely right about, we hate when they go, well, he's not ready yet.
Oh,
well, how
God.
the hell do you know? Put him in. We'll decide.
We
if
saw
it-
him at practice.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, so
on, man.
I'm going to just be
Come on,
crazy
man.
here, and I'm going to bet on the young kid at home with the fans behind him. I'm getting the points. I think they still could lose in a close one, the Patriots, but I'm going to take the Pats, Drake May, and the points, Tony.
And I'm going to give the points. I'm going to give the points.
You think they're going to blow them out?
Yeah, the Texans are going to beat
Yeah.
them. Beat them badly. Patriots are terrible. All right, speaking of rookies coming on.
You sound bitter.
I'm not better. Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, the rookie out of South Carolina, making a start for the Saints, who have a short week, and they're taking on hosting Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers on the road at the Dome are given the points, 3, against a rookie quarterback who we've never heard of, Spencer Rattler.
I know exactly who he is.
I understand. It's a saying.
He's a interesting kid that played at Oklahoma, and then I believe he transferred to the Gamecocks.
He was
with
a
a
South
year.
Carolina. He came out of there in a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, so that's where he ended up. He was not impressive, believe it or not, in
Yeah.
college at all. I'm surprised that he's their backup, and it doesn't remind any of us of the way Derek Carr would play quarterback. So I think Baker's on a roll. He is top 3 in every passing category there is. So to add to that, I think Baker has a big day. I'm going Bucks.
And I've heard too that there are some churches that are starting to the Tampa Church of Baker.
Oh.
And so he's becoming that.
How do I
important
sign
to them
up?
down there? I don't know, but yeah, I guess I had a problem with the loyalty issue when they let him go, and so every time I see him play, I'm just glad that I'm glad he's doing well.
You're going to
And
give the
yeah,
points?
I'm-
Buccaneers
yeah,
giving the 3?
absolutely.
I'm with Bob
Yeah.
Golic. Buccaneers giving the 3. When we come back, the Browns pick. They're in Philly, obviously. Why I think they're going to win?
That should be the whole segment.
It's going to be. And, of course, we got much more than that on the tailgate. Stick around. As we were saying, let's get back to the picks. We'll end, of course, on the Browns at Philly. Colts at Titans. Anthony Richardson, the Colts quarterback, with the oblique injury, had a full week of practice. Doesn't mean they're necessarily going to start him. And you know who has played the past couple of games and is automatic 300 plus.
Yeah.
Of course, they lost. It wasn't enough. But the fact is, you're getting what you want out of Flacco when he's been playing. He may start again. We don't know. So here's the deal. Titans -2.5 at home against the Colts, who may go back to Richardson or stick with Joe Flacco.
Please go back to Richardson. Number one,
Why?
that puts Joe on the I'm about to tell you why. It puts Joe. Thanks for asking, Tone. It puts Flacco back on the bench, Bob, where he stays healthy, so Andrew Berry can call and trade and get his rear end back here for the Browns. So,
What makes you think the Colts would possibly move Joe Flacco now, knowing they have insurance if this kid gets hurt again?
well,
I know it's a
if
good
some-
dream, but
if- if you have a general manager that pays Deshaun Watson $230 million, I'm guessing there's nothing he wouldn't do to get a guy back here that plays really great. And by the way, if the Browns did that, it takes them out of the coffin that you talk about that they built for themselves.
They'll never do it.
Instantly turns the fan base around in Cleveland. Joe comes back, and it's everybody's
Unless
back.
he comes back and retires.
And then, well, no, but
Yeah.
wait. And then they'd be admitting that they made a mistake.
We already know they made a
But they're
mistake.
not going to admit it.
They don't.
But they're
They
not
don't have-
going
They
to
don't
admit it.
know.
Look, if I spill kerosene in the kitchen and then decide I'm going to light the pilot light right next to it and the house burns down, I don't have to admit I'm a moron. I burned the house down. The neighbors already know I'm a moron and burned the. This
right.
argument about where they do this, and it's so stubborn. They're in such a.
Well, you're making my argument.
Yeah,
They're
where
not going to
where
admit
they
it.
Pretend like we don't know it's a screw up.
Don't
Well,
look
that's
over
what they're
here.
doing with Deshaun. They
Yeah.
cannot admit that they're done with him because of the money. There's all kinds of reasons why you don't want to look stupid. And right now, the one
But
that,
they look
the one
stupid.
now is that if you don't take them out, you're going to start.
Here's the
looking
last
stupid.
thing on
Yeah.
this, Tony.
Yeah.
If you already know they look dumb, and we all know they look dumb, each week you do this and they look worse, you look dumber. There's an
They
ER.
have it. No. They put it, they've got all the lackeys in the media making excuses for him.
No doubt.
They put it on Deshaun. He's got to play better. Of course, we have to coach better. We got to block, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's got to play better. The longer they do that, they're deflecting the attention from where the blame lies here.
It's
where they
Andrew
box
Berry.
themselves
Yes.
in. And they jettisoned the guy, Flacco, and they brought in a guy who's just a guy that's going to lose as many as win for you. If they even go to him, by the time they go to Winston, it's going to be because Deshaun has an injury. That's what's going to happen.
Plus, let's remember this. There's an offensive line that's been kind of shuffled around with injuries.
A lot
and
of
stuff.
teams
Lot
have
of
injuries.
teams.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, one of the reasons that you might not be getting great play out of, or where Deshaun might be getting the opportunity to play better, he's getting whacked. I mean, seven
Bob, I will
sacks
tell you this.
last
I
week,
will tell
8
you
sacks
this.
the week
I
before.
understand what you're saying, but I'll tell you this. I have never watched a quarterback in my whole life
I agree.
that has a clean pocket and runs around like someone's trying to steal his wallet.
We did-
Even when he has a clean pocket, he's in a panic. He has no
He's
vision.
not comfortable down there.
I mean, we did this against the Houston Oilers. We used to be a football team for the kids out
Houston
there.
Oilers.
Houston Oilers, number one. Anyway, it was Warren Moon was a quarterback.
Love Warren.
We were pass rushing. We were hitting him as he was throwing. We were sacking him to the point where I came around the outside and he was looking at me instead of looking for receivers. He had dropped back. And when you start seeing a quarterback looking at the guys who are rushing instead of downfield at the receivers, you know you got problem. And I swear that I saw some of that.
By the
Yeah,
way, they
so-
only played that song in Houston when they scored, and you played defense. So why was that song playing?
It played when they were on national TV. They all had the "Love You Blue" signs, and they would play.
Okay, so they didn't
Houston
necessarily score.
Do you want to know something? A little. No, of course not. The a little tidbit. The Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins stole it.
The Dolphins have a song, Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Miami
Oh,
Dolphins.
you're kidding.
Oh, the same thing.
Miami
Yeah, it's the same
Dolphins
song.
number one.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Hi, Bob.
I'm really pissed.
Bob, Colts at Titans. Titans giving the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm staying with Titans. I
1-3 Titans giving the Colts.
Can I do
for
my
some
bet?
reason,
Can I do?
just-
Okay.
I was going to say, can I do mine? If Richardson starts, I'll take the Titans. If Flacco starts, I'll take the Colts. Can I do that right?
You make the rules, Boom.
All right, there's my rule.
Okay, I'm
There
going
you
to pick
go.
one, and if I win, I'm going to pick that team, and if I lose, I'm
Bob,
gonna
you win
pick the other
automatically.
team.
Don't worry. You win automatically.
I got the Colts. I got the Colts taking the points. We got a couple of minutes left here. 'Cause I want to get to Browns and give it its. All right, let's get to the Browns. We got 2 minutes left in this thing. The Browns are. I want to make sure I'm reading this correct. 9.5 point underdog. 9.5 point underdogs. An NFL team
That's
against
not-
a team that's not great.
That's not
the
playing
Eagles.
well.
And now the Eagles are coming off a bye. I understand. But you talk about quarterbacks getting hit. Jalen Hurts has been sacked 10 times, I think, in their previous 2 games. He's getting banged up. Take the Browns and the points?
Boy.
Wow.
I would like to. I know that they're getting a lot of guys back. The Eagles are getting a lot of guys back from injuries. They had that bye last week.
Yep.
And they're starting to bring the guys back together that made them whole in the beginning. But 9 points is tough. If we do anything as the Cleveland Browns, we usually keep, well, except last week, we keep
And
the
the
games
week
close.
before,
and the week before.
You taking the
we
Browns?
used to keep
Browns and the points?
I'm going to go Browns and the points.
I'm giving you a bonus prediction as Nostrachuckus has come into the building.
You mean Chuckus?
Philadelphia is going to absolutely destroy the Browns. And if they don't, Nostrachuckus will tell you, if the Browns should upset Philly, Sirianni is fired after the game. After the game,
They're going to
he's
pull a
fired.
Shedzinski on him? And
Well, they can't leave him somewhere like they did with
Leave him
Chud.
in
He was
Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh. Yeah, he didn't make the bus. But I believe that would be the final nail in Nick Sirianni's coffin. So if the Browns win, your bonus pick is that guy's fired.
But in terms
they're
of the
not
bet-
going to. Philly's going to win.
in terms of the bet, are you giving the 9.5?
I'm write this down too. I'm giving you 14. I'm adding
The
to the
Eagles?
9.5.
Giving 14. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
taking the Browns plus the points. I think the Browns are going to win outright. I think the Eagles' defense is tremendous. Tremendous. I'm sorry, horrific. Really big swing.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, the Eagles' defense is not good. I guess I'm taking the Browns to win because I don't believe what I'm seeing, and I keep thinking, okay, here we
I
are.
can't believe what I just saw.
Jack Buck, great
Jack
call
Buck.
on the Gibson home run. But
Yep.
I can't believe what we're seeing. And 6 weeks in, it's got to change. Something has to happen against a mediocre to bad defense, even on the road. It has to change.
Legend Bob Golic brought up something that needs to be repeated. Off the bye week, Bob, they're getting the 2 receivers back, I believe, and those are 2 of the best wide receivers in
Okay.
all of
Well-
football.
But
So
we're-
they're healthy and ready to go. That spells trouble.
But we're taking the Browns because, as the movie Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze,
Mm-hmm.
they said, "What makes them different than us?" And Patrick Swayze pulls out his gun and says, "Because we live here."
Excellent.
Well, wait, the Eagles are playing at home.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. No, I mean, no, not that. I'm saying we picked the Browns.
I understand.
Shut up.
I think they're going to win. But I'm nuts, obviously. All right, Tailgate continues. What's in a name? We'll tell you when we come back. Before the break, Chucky mentioned that he thinks the Eagles coach will be out if they blow this game to the Browns. Jets didn't wait. They fired Robert Saleh. Yep. Woody Johnson, the owner, says, I don't care. Stop saying be patient. That's my argument. I've been saying it for months. As you were warned by all the media in town, just be patient. This is going to take some time. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't take time. Who else is on the hot seat? Would you put Stefanski on the hot seat?
Better not be. And I'm no Stefanski fan, but I do know this, and this is just a fact, and it cannot be argued with. When he gets to run the Kubiak offense that he learned from Gary Kubiak in Minnesota with the play action stuff, he did it with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield got you 5 minutes away from an AFC championship game. Yeah. He did it with Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco at 39 years old off the couch got you to the playoffs. I know one thing. If you let Stefanski run the offense that he wants to run, it's pretty darn good football to watch. This isn't, because it's not his offense. This is Dorsey and Barry running it from the top, and it's a joke.
But then do they say, okay, you know what? We made a mistake. Kevin, do what you want to do. I don't think I don't see that happening.
I don't either.
mean, they're not gonna, the powers that be aren't gonna say, hey, you know what, we made a mistake. Let's let Stefanski make all the calls and let it do it his way. I just don't see.
Well,
that
if you look at the Robert, not to cut you off, sir, but if you look at the Robert Saleh situation, I don't care how much he denies it. Aaron Rodgers has everything to do with this. His body language toward his head coach was terrible. So if that's where we are, and it is, as you know, in the NFL, then Deshaun wins, Stefanski could be out. That's the math.
I guess. The other thing is, though, Rodgers, be careful what you wish for, because they also took play calling away from Nathaniel Hackett and gave it to a guy who's never called plays before, I believe. So they're making other changes so he doesn't think he's running the whole thing. But I agree with what Tony said. It's nice when the owner comes out and says, look, at 30-52 or whatever this awful record this guy has, you've had enough time, sorry, you got to go. I mean, how long do you give somebody, which is our argument about Watson. Now, if they get pummeled by Philadelphia, that means that if we go back, Ryan, you can do it for next week's show. I told you if they lose 2 of 3 or 3 of 3 on the road, which they're in jeopardy of doing, then somebody's got to go, and it's got to be Watson.
It depends maybe on how they lose. I mean, 34-13 of the Commanders. If you go down and you look like that again in Philly, then we know there's a problem.
Yeah.
But the crazy part will be 6 weeks in, Bob. They're nowhere close to fixing it, and that's the season right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you get Deshaun having a good game with numbers and everything, and you see a lot of targets and guys dropping the ball, which happens all the time, but you see a spark, some light at the end of the tunnel with Deshaun, maybe he'll still be around. But if it's another game like it was last week, then regardless of injuries to the offensive line, regardless to some big offensive tackle wearing my number,
should be retired.
Should be retired.
Should be retired,
By
Bob.
the way, I
thought I took them all.
I've spent the last 5 minutes, Bob, trying to think of a Patrick Swayze line from Ghost to end the show, and I just can't get anything other than ditto, I think was his big line.
That's tremendous.
There you go.
All right. Listen, Nick Chubb, when Nick Chubb plays, what are you really expecting?
Nothing, because they don't run the ball in this offense.
Well, you got to assume that they're going to run more with Nick Chubb.
I don't assume that. I don't assume that. The other guy that's getting a pass, by the way, and shouldn't, and we should bring him up every week, and I intend to, is Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey brought this goofy spread offense that didn't work in Buffalo, and he's brought it here and is making Stefanski do something that is absolutely opposite of what he likes to run.
But the way things are going now, when Chubb comes back, I think they will make changes. They're not going to stick with this offense. They'll make changes because it'll give them a rationale. It'll be able to say to the media and to the fans, hey, you know what? We knew we had to do this. When Chubb came back, we're going back to what made us great.
We get about 20 seconds. You think it gives Stefanski at least an argument to say,
gives him
okay, look, I know you didn't
an
want to
argument,
switch it, but now Chubb's here. And by the way, he's got the entire city behind him to support that. We got 10 seconds.
Yeah, one quick thing. When Chubb comes back, it's going to be hard to watch. It reminds me of horse racing. I love the Triple Crown, but I'm scared to watch because I feel like a horse could fall and get hurt.
You're worried about
and
his
every
knees.
time you give that ball to Nick Chubb, we're going to go, oh, God, don't get hurt.
Boys, good job. We'll see you next week on the tailgate.